Hello, this is Dan Sardinas, and welcome to another 5 Good Minutes, where I answer your biblical questions in 5 minutes or less. The question comes to me today: are tattoos sinful? What does the Bible say about that? Well, in order to call anything sinful, we must see if God has forbidden it. For the Bible, not our preferences, is the standard by which we judge all things. And so, what does the Bible say about tattoos? Or does it say anything? Well, there is one verse that people who oppose tattoos would go to. And let's see if it is about and can be applied to modern day tattoos, which are ink interjected underneath the skin for artistic design, whatever that artistic design may be. Whether it's a mom tattoo or a butterfly or a Bible verse. Leviticus chapter 19 says this: "You shall not make any cuts on your body for the dead, or tattoo yourselves. I am the Lord." Now God told that specifically to the nation of Israel. They were coming out of Egypt. They had received His law. They were called to be a holy nation. And this means set apart and different. Now, the question we must ask ourselves is, does the word tattoo today mean the same thing that tattoo meant then? And really, the word tattoo didn't even come into existence until the 1700s. And so this translation of tattoo is just a way for us to understand it, but it could be very confusing. For modern day tattoos are nothing like the tattoos from Leviticus chapter 19. What God was forbidden was the practice of the Canaanites, in which they would go and mutilate their flesh for the purpose of honoring their gods, their false gods, their idols. They would also honor the dead and mourn for the dead by cutting themselves. If you remember with Elijah and Mount Carmel, how the prophets of Baal cut themselves so that Baal would respond to them. And so really what God was forbidding here was for the Jews to not worship Him like the other peoples worship their gods. The women would also draw on their body parts to the goddess of fertility. They would draw designs on their breasts and other places to draw attention to themselves for idolatry. So if your modern day tattoos are for the purpose of idols and false gods and worshiping and honoring the dead in the same way that they did, that God forbidden it, then yes, it is sinful. But having ink interjected in your skin for an artistic expression, God has not forbidden that. So we must ask ourselves, is there biblical principles that should guide us in whether we should or should not get tattoos? And the answer, of course, is yes. The overarching answer and reason we should examine is, who will it glorify? Is a tattoo going to glorify you, or is it going to bring glory to God? So, yeah, Paul has said in 1 Corinthians 6, number 1, that our bodies are not our own. So that everything that we should do with our bodies ought to be honoring God, glorifying God. Now, 1 Corinthians 6 is in the context of sexual sin, but I think you'd apply that to really all kinds of sins and practices. Should we honor God or not? And the answer is yes. If you're a Christian, God has purchased you with His own blood. You're His. 1 Corinthians 10, Paul says, whatever you do, do it all to the glory of God. So is it drawing attention to you, or is it drawing attention to God? It could also be a question of modesty. Is the tattoo you're getting accentuating a body part that would be considered immodest? The Bible has lots to say about modesty and how we should conduct ourselves and dress ourselves to be modest. So if the tattoo is a question of modesty, then yes, of course. But really, when it all comes down to it, it is a matter of Christian freedom. And if you do decide to get a tattoo, make sure it glorifies God, it is modest, and it also comes from a heart of faith. For Paul says in Romans chapter 14 that whatever we do that is not from faith is sin. So is getting a tattoo sinful? Not exactly, but it could be. And this has been another 5 Good Minutes.